Ooh. Okay. What would a Scrum Master do if the team just can't get it done? They can't deliver what they said. Well, it depends. As all good consultant answers start, it depends. It depends what we mean by they can't get the job done. Is it that they can't get the goal achieved that they committed to in the sprint? Well, okay, that's going to happen. That is not an occasional occurrence. In the early days, that's often the norm. Okay? So you realise towards the end of the sprint that actually the team, they're not going to reach their goal. Okay? Bring it up with the team, make sure the product owner's in that conversation and decide what the right thing is. At the bare logistics level, what's going to happen is you're not going to complete all the items. The ones that aren't finished aren't going to be shown in sprint review and are going to be returned to the backlog and potentially come back into planning next time round. Okay? But also, your stakeholders need to be informed. The product owner needs to be out letting people know we've not achieved the goal, it's not gone quite to plan. You don't want stakeholders turning up to a review where there's nothing for them to see. Okay? That's not a fun place. So, I mean, maybe they can help and then they're worthwhile inviting, but if they're just there to see widget X, okay, and they have no other reason to be there, then it's probably good manners to let them know that maybe this review isn't for them. So at a sprint level, it's not catastrophic. It's going to happen. All you do is you do what you can, you inform the people that need to know, the work goes back on the backlog, and maybe it comes out next time round. If, however, you're not going to get your product to the place it needs to be, okay, that product goal is in jeopardy, that's different. What we need to start doing now is looking at why is it in jeopardy. Okay. Is it that the date's too close? You know, you've only got 2 months and it looks like you need 4 months more to get it done. Well, how we start working with that is it's too close to add people. We can't add another team. We can't increase the team size. And I would often be loath to do that anyway. Okay. But product owner needs to be out there talking to people. Is that a date? Yeah. Is that, as Liz Keogh would call it, a deadline? As in, you know, if you cross that date, are we dead if we're not there on time? Or is it a wish line? It would be nice to be released in 2 months' time. Well, if it's a wish line, there's opportunity to play. There's a place to explore. Actually, can we move that date? If it's a deadline, okay, we've got to ship. We're not going to. We're going to be. We need to look at other options. Is everything that we're asking needed? So we need to work with our product owner to understand, and our stakeholders most likely, is everything in this list necessary? Are there anything that we can remove because you aren't getting it all? So we need to start removing things from our product backlog or moving them down the order of our product backlog if we don't intend to just remove them. Okay. And if we still can't get there, how do we start breaking things down into smaller pieces so that we can realise the value or enough of the value with less effort, and let the smaller pieces trickle down into the right place with an aim to still deliver the product on that date, but smaller. The trick is to do as little as possible to satisfy the customer. Many teams struggle with this in the early days. Our role as a Scrum Master is not to do the work. It's to create the conversations and help them do the work. If you have a new team that's never done it before, you will be running more refinement sessions in all likelihood. You're going to be running education workshops, explaining, teaching, showing how to break items down into smaller pieces in many different ways so that you can use better and better ways to break it down. The aim being, this is the minimum amount of work we can do and achieve the outcome that we want. That might be a lot, don't get me wrong. So we have lots of options if our product goal is at jeopardy from a time basis. Now, if our product goal is in jeopardy because we don't know how to do it, that's going to happen. what we need to do now is remember this is a learning process. It's a discovery process. Okay. Is it that it's not possible? The laws of physics have kicked in and we are just not going to achieve it? The product owner needs to call it. Okay. There is no point in pursuing something that is impossible within the laws of the land, within the laws of the universe. Okay. So call it. If, however, it is possible within the laws of the land and the laws of the universe, then maybe it's because you don't know how. Well, that's great. We have a unit. The Scrum team as a whole is an amazing learning unit. It needs to start researching. It needs to start discovering how to do things. Bringing in more skills. Maybe it's a skill we can buy in. Send somebody on course. Invite somebody to work with the team for a short period of time to transfer those skills in, to give them that capability. Okay. Maybe it's experiments that need to be run and we need to explore our way out of this. A very messy and not necessarily fast approach, but we can get out the other side. Throughout all of this, the product owner has to have in their mind, is this worthwhile? Product development is a messy, indirect approach. We don't just go from A to B in a straight line. We go all over the place as we work out what the problem is and how best to solve it. That's where we are here. We're exploring the space. What is actually the problem? There are many things that it appears to be. We need to experiment and find out which one it is. And there are many options to solve these, so we need to play around with those as well to understand how do we solve the right problem. That takes time, that takes effort. Our role as a Scrum Master is very often to remind people of this. It is not to do the work. We aren't developers. We're there to create an environment where they can do their best job. If your product is in jeopardy, you need to understand why. Okay? You then act as a guide to the rest of the team to help them understand best how to move forwards. Is it just not going to happen? Okay. A successful product development in the Agile world is not necessarily delivery of a product. Sometimes it's saying we can't do this. We can't do it in the time, in the money, or we just can't do it. We can't see any conceivable way of doing it. As soon as you know that, stopping is the sensible answer. So we're supporting our product owners in making that decision. Okay? Sometimes it's not knowing how, and it's going to be messy and exploratory, and that's fun. Okay? And we need to remind people that value is not always direct customer value. Sometimes that value is in knowledge, is in learning about the space within which we're playing, because ultimately it will come to fruition. So what are we doing when our product is struggling? It depends. It really does depend on where you find yourself. If it's just the sprint, we're going to improve next time. We've got a retrospective, okay? But if it's the product, you've got options. You need to start exploring them with your team to understand where are we in truth and how do we move forwards. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.